Before I even talk about wonder, I have to say that I wonder what wonder is. The word has so many definitions, and I would guess it means different things to different people. So as we explore it today, I invite you to take a few seconds to choose which definition that you will ground yourself in as I speak. I'll tell you, for me, I have a definition, and I'll share that with you because that obviously influenced what I'm going to say. Wonder is curiosity, a strong desire to learn more. Wonder is mystery, something that is difficult or impossible to understand or explain. And for me, wonder is awe. The feeling we get in the presence of something vast that challenges our understanding of the world. Maybe these definitions or metaphors work for you too, as we begin to explore wonder together. Elizabeth Barrett Browning wrote, "Earth is crammed with heaven, and every common bush afire with God, but only to he who sees, takes his shoes off. The rest sit round it and pluck blueberries." When I was young, around second or third grade, I remember being amazed by everything. Every bush, every creature, every place, every person. I wondered about how they each came to be. If it was a plant, I wondered how it tasted, or if it's poisonous or dangerous. If it was an object, I wondered how light or heavy it was, or what I could do with it. As a child, I approached everything as a mystery. I held many things in awe. Wonder was central to my life. Wonder did at times get me in trouble, though. Like when I tried to lift up an alligator snapping turtle by its tail. Well, I wanted to find out how heavy it was and look at it, you know. Well, what I didn't know is an alligator snapping turtle can, its head can reach all the way to its tail. Fortunately for me, I dropped it before it bit my hand off. But most often, my wonderings were less dangerous. And not only in nature. I wondered about books and developed a passion for reading science fiction, fantasy, immersing myself in words that would seem to be bursting from the page, inspiring awe and curiosity and mystery. I wondered how these authors could write such captivating tales. I felt like Elizabeth Barrett Browning that the earth was crammed with heaven. If I just stopped long enough to fully engage with it. I approached every experience with reverence and awe, not as a mystery to be solved, but as a mystery to be explored and savored. I spent days wandering, as I was wandering through cow pastures and libraries in my backyard and my neighborhood, all alone. Not lonely, but alone. I realize that's not something most of us would allow our children to do nowadays, worried about their safety, and rightfully so. Perhaps my mother should have been a little more worried. But I have to say, I believe our children are missing out a little, not freely experiencing and wandering and wondering about the world around them. You know, I also wondered about people. And so, in order to experience people, I climbed up in this giant willow tree where people couldn't see me. And I watched them in the moment, not trying to answer what they were doing, but just exploring their movements. And I let my mind be with them as they moved in front of me, not trying to answer the questions where they were going or what they were doing, but how they were moving and how they were being in that moment. I was full of curiosity about everything. And those people that I watched, well, I watched them as mysterious things, and often was inspired to awe. Now, this was a discrete period of my life. Eventually, I grew out of it. I began being more interested in playing games, spending time with friends, and school took more of my attention. I wanted to learn how things worked, and so I listened to what teachers and priests said. I think my wonder became more goal-directed, more about finding answers than sensually and reverently experiencing the world. I wonder, when was the last time you wondered? Not trying to find an answer, but simply immersing yourself in the moment to experience an object or a person or an experience or art or music and let it touch you emotionally, spiritually, physically. To put aside what you might know from books or your past experiences and be completely curious in the moment about what is in front of you. To see and to take your shoes off, treating the experience, the person, the object, as if it inhabits holy ground. I know, we don't have much time for that. Often we are too busy, too into our habits, and if we have time, we fill them with something new, something innovative, something mind-blowing, or at least something that tastes, smells, feels, sounds good. I understand. I do that much of the time myself. I mean, Martha and I don't watch any movie that doesn't have at least a 5.0 on IMDb. Now, if you don't know what that means, I can tell you after the service. But we don't want to give our time away to something that will likely be of poor value, or we think it will be of poor value. You know, I often choose food or drink that positively stimulates my taste buds and nose in ways that are familiar, comforting. So I tend to consume things I already have positive experiences with. I tend not to explore dishes at restaurants after I found what I like. I just keep having what I know I like. It's a known quantity. I don't have time to take the effort to let my taste buds waste on fully immersing myself in other experiences that might not be as good, or perhaps could be better. That this place, this restaurant, might be able to offer. I don't stop to wonder what else there is. And while this is my eating habit, I have been fortunate to have had some experiences that have dislodged me from my habits, experiences that have thrust me into wonder. I've come to realize, that I cling to what I know, and so when I do that, I forget to approach an experience with curiosity or awe or mystery. It's easy for all of us to forget that I can experience more in a moment with a person or an object if I take time to wonder. And so it is the case that I don't make that experience happen often, but sometimes, unexpectedly, it happens. Once, long ago, I was a counselor at an eating disorders inpatient treatment program. I worked with people diagnosed with anorexia, bulimia, and compulsive eating disorders. And for my part, I did educational classes, and I offered individual and family and group therapy. I even taught them about mindful eating, something we just did a few minutes ago with the strawberry. But as a counselor at the time, and this was 30 some odd years ago, 40 some odd years ago maybe, I didn't eat with them. I just said, when you go downstairs, mindfully eat, and here's how you do it: smell, taste, touch, that kind of thing. Well, one day, the people who were normally went down with the patients to eat, they weren't available. And so I went down with the patients because they needed a staff member to be present with them while they ate. And I thought, I'm supposed to model good behavior here and healthy eating and that kind of stuff, so I best try this mindful eating thing. I approached my food with curiosity and mystery, ready to learn from the experience. And I have to say, it was awesome. I might even say, holy. I opened myself up to my senses and my feelings, again, as I had asked my patients to do time and time again. Can you imagine approaching a hamburger or ice cream as if it was something you had never had before? As a child might approach it. Can you imagine, while eating mindfully and slowly, that you can experience each taste bud activating in succession? From sweet to sour to bitter. Chocolate is not just one flavor sensation, but many. And after mindfully eating chocolate, I was reminded how the Maya and Aztec regarded chocolate as a life-giving force that empowered human blood. Its consumption was therefore a kind of sacrament, which gave life to the reverent consumer. I do now on occasion eat mindfully, and one of the substances that I really enjoy eating mindfully is chocolate. Now, I don't do it every time, sometimes you just got to eat chocolate. But there are times when I open myself up fully, all my senses and my curiosity, and open to awe and mystery, and I hold the chocolate and wonder, should I take my shoes off? One more thing I want to share with you from Fabiana's article, Where Wonder Lives, is this. She says, often our reaction to awe and wonder is reflected in what happens to our breath, which to me seems very telling. When you see the night sky, a very majestic night sky, or a mountain, or a storm, or a sunset, and I'm just naming natural phenomena, but it doesn't have to be nature. It could be a piece of music or art or a very supremely kind act that you consider, that you feel is so huge and so encompassing that you can't take it all in at that moment. And that gives us a bit of a clue to what's happening when we feel awe. And I'm citing researchers here, Dasher Keltner and Lanny Sciotta, and other awe investigators and researchers. They found what awe does when we experience it is it submerges us in the present. For a time, however long it lasts, there is no past and no future. You're not worried about anything else. You're not remembering anything. You're there completely at one with what is happening. And so this suspension of breath seems to me, first of all, and maybe this is just symbolic or an intuition on my part. I haven't read about it anywhere. But it's as if you have to make room for it. And there's not enough room for it in your chest, so you have to take in a big gulp of air, which is also related to the word inspiration. And that's no small association. And then you hold your breath for a moment as everything stands still. I remember feeling that when I was young, and life was full of awe and wonder. I feel blessed when I have that experience again, when time feels suspended and breath, you hold it to take in a time when even a strawberry is too big to fit in your chest. Nowadays, I do try to make time, to stop and make time for wonderful experiences. There are times I make time, and occasionally, to eat mindfully, to look at a sunrise mindfully, to read a passage from a book mindfully, to look at a piece of art, to listen to music mindfully. Not expecting at that moment that I will be moved, not expecting awe and wonder, but with openness and a willingness to receive that inspiration, that awe, that mystery, that moment. And when I feel that wonder, that curiosity of spirit in the midst of awe and mystery for a moment, or if I'm lucky for several moments, my friends, there is no ordinary, and anything and everything is extraordinary.